So, hey everybody, we're back. It's Catherine.
And Sarita.
And so, Sarita, you told me the other day that you were looking for a new daycare and you had to kind of find it pretty quickly. And that it has been an ordeal.
It has.
Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yes. So long story short, our home daycare, who we love and trust, she's closing. And that's where our children have been their entire little lives. And so we knew and we understood we did not want to take them to another home daycare. Because I felt home daycare is just super intimate. And yeah, so anyway. So we said we don't want to compromise. We want to take them to a center. Now, shopping at the different centers, I found out that we are going to have anywhere from $1,800 to $2,000 increase in our childcare expense. Per month. Because folks won't, and taking care, I use work. I understand how hard it is taking care of somebody else's kids. I understand a living wage, an equitable wage. I get it. I'm not complaining. But at the same time, who can afford these prices?
Right.
So we're looking at that, and it has just been so disheartening. Of just the amount of money people really expect families to pay. Like this is 2 of our mortgage payments.
Yeah. And you guys did planning before you had your kids and stuff, right?
Yep. So we planned. We planned. And we planned to the T. Like, okay, now we can have kids. We believe we can afford it. Yada, yada, yada. Because really quickly, one thing, speaking of, when Reverend Catherine speaks of, it speaks of healing centered financial. One of the triggers of traumas I have in that I was very headstrong on not doing, if I did not need to, was get on any government assistance. Because the trauma that I had from childhood just led me to make that decision. And that could probably be a whole nother podcast that we can do. Yeah. So anyway, so we'll come back to that later on a different episode. But so I made a promise to myself to do what I needed to do to make the sacrifices early on in adulthood to put myself in a position to where I did not need any other help. I didn't need any outside help to sustain myself and family. And so you had two incomes. Two masters holding people, okay? Yeah. And we looking at that kid and it's like, how y'all think we're supposed to afford this now? So that's what we have been running into, and the most disheartening place. And I never understood, like in political, when people are running, how they always talk to the middle class. I just think that was so weird when I was younger until we became a middle class family. And I'm like, oh, you talking to us because we really in the middle of this thing. Yeah. Like we make too much to get on assistance. We make too much to get a scholarship of any sort. But we don't make enough to be okay.
Yeah. So how much are they asking?
Oh.
Because you have an infant. So how long is he considered an infant?
Until he's 1.
Okay.
And so centers have asked anywhere between $420 to $500 for him a week.
Wow. Okay.
So he
yikes.
A month is actually more than the mortgage.
Just the infant.
Just him.
Wow.
And then our daughter is 3. They're considered preschool, and they still want anywhere between $310 and $340 for her a week.
And so you were telling me something about the legislation or something they're doing in Minnesota?
Yes, so they're supposed to put something up to where families in Minnesota aren't spending more than 7% of their monthly or annual income or something like that. I have to double back with the person we know about that. But yeah, that's a discussion, because that's been a complaint for at least here in Minnesota, that childcare is just, one parent might as well stay home.
Yeah.
Because you're literally working to pay for childcare. And it is ridiculous in all sense and purposes.
Wow.
And I'm an advocate for youth workers to get a living wage. I'm an advocate for it. Absolutely. But at the same time, if we're putting families in compromising positions,
Yeah.
what are we really doing?
So, like, what do you think other families are doing, or are they, because they're maybe lower income, they're getting assistance?
Yes,
that you can't get.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's rough. Because I remember when I moved here, I was in Georgia before we moved here, and so my kids were 2 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I remember when we moved here that my childcare almost tripled.
Yep.
Almost tripled, and I was like, oh my God, like, what is going on? And so one of the people at the childcare that we used at the time was like, well, here they pay better, which is great. I think the lead teachers maybe have to have a degree, which is great. But it was a hit to the wallet, and then too, like, I came from Atlanta, the cost of living there was a lot lower than it is here, and so it was just complete shock. I mean, thank goodness I had a decent salary, still made too much for any assistance. I could afford it. Look, this is my saying these days. I can, but I don't want to. Like, and that was 10 years ago.
Yep.
So now you done added inflation.
Oh yeah.
And everything else, and then in my kid, I didn't have an infant, so that also helped me out as well.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 years later, fast forward, you're paying over you would be paying over $3,100 a month for childcare.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you guys done? Like, what kind of solutions have you come up with?
Well, we talked to you.
Okay.
He's our financial advisor, and really had to look at would it benefit. So who makes more out of my husband and I, and who would stay home. And so that was an actual conversation. Because then you deal with all of the what I get my degree for, whatever. I mean, and I would choose to stay home with my kids any day if I needed to. So that's really not an issue. But it was really considering, do we stay home and really have to be fiscally, strict on ourselves,
Really look at our expenses.
Yeah.
All of that.
Will that work? And then, we crunched the numbers and we were like, well, that's really not actually going to work if we wanted it to.
Okay.
So,
when that baby gonna be born?
In July. In July.
To give you a little bit of
we're trying to get a homegirl to kindergarten, okay?
Because one of the good things that that it happened, I think, after my kids finished preschool, but I know that there's a thing here where they have free preschool, right?
Yep.
Like free, what is it, fourth, when you turn 4?
High 5, yeah.
Okay.
4. Yep, 4.
When you turn 4. So what there is one benefit is that when your kid turns 4, they can go to a program, which is helpful for parents, for sure. And like you're saying, you just need her to just be in kindergarten.
Homegirl needs to get to kindergarten.
Okay.
Be free.
Okay, and then that's another conversation that we could have at another time, because then it's the question of, so are we paying for, are we paying for tuition for school? Or
right.
are we, you have those kinds of things going on.
Right.
Well, that's a lot of
money.
Oh my God. I mean, I just couldn't even imagine that right now. And there's some, I have older kids, so there's things that I have to deal with. I was telling Sarita about this whole back incident that I had, and I with my daughter, because she plays fast pitch. And so she jumped in the car. They were doing tryouts and stuff, and she was like, "Mom, you're going to be so upset." And she was like, "I broke my back." I'm like, why is that going to make me upset? Because she has a little side hustle that she does, and they get an allowance and stuff. And so she was like, but I don't have enough for a bat. And I'm like, well, how much is a bat? She showed me this thing, $300 for a bat. I'm like, what? I can't just go to Target or Walmart and get a bat for like $70? Well, Mom, it has to be like this certain kind of bat. And I'm like, they don't give y'all bats? I mean, we just had this whole discussion. And so I actually have an individual blog that I talk about that, so I won't bore y'all with that here. But there are a lot of expenses going on. I mean, just, thinking about her getting ready to drive, and, just there's a whole...
Oh, your insurance.
Don't remind me.
Oh, your insurance gonna go up, ain't it?
Yes. So you know what? I'll get some statistics on how much my insurance will go up once it's time. She's getting ready to be 15, so it'll be a driver's permit and all of that. But I mean, there's a lot of cost with having kids. So, you know, and of course you love your kids and all that, but you got to work out your finances. So what are you guys doing? How are you managing childcare? Did you and your spouse decide that someone was going to stay home, whether it was the mom or the dad? Because there's a lot of stay-at-home dads these days who are doing well. But you know what I want to ask you? It's kind of related, but it maybe is more related to like when you had the kids. What are your thoughts on paternal time off?
Oh, I think it's what not no thing. It is needed.
I agree.
It's
and
needed.
And they didn't have it so much when I had my kids, but I remember it was kind of becoming a topic. And I was like, oh my God, if my husband could have had paid time off so he could just be home and I could take a shower.
Right.
You know,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I know I've heard some people like, oh, man, you know, look. For the mamas. Look, the paternal time off is for the mamas too.
It
okay?
is.
At least that's what I see.
So you go take a nap.
Take a nap.
Or somebody can have me a nursing pillow, can grab us a snack, can run to the store.
Because y'all know it's a lot going on when you have a baby.
Yeah.
So I think paternal care, I'm not all companies have it.
Yeah.
Or some companies have it and it's maybe only a few weeks. I'm like, look, if you can get to a company, maybe that's a choice you make when you're looking for a company.
Yeah.
Is the company your husband's going to or your spouse is going to, is it going to offer paternal what's it called?
Paternal leave.
Paternity leave. That's right. That's right.
And they need some sleep too, like getting adjusted to, you know, waking up, and you know, he might be on the job looking crazy the first month.
That's right. Look, I was thinking I was being real selfish. I was thinking of it from the mom's benefit, but yeah, he's staying up too. The baby's crying, and he's getting up too. Yeah. So he needs sleep and needs to bond with his baby. Yeah. All those things. So I think that is something that I love the idea of paternity care. So again, what are you guys doing? How are you handling it? Anything else you want to add to this?
Nope, that's it. That is it.
All right. Well, until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.